I'm being framed for a felony I did not commit, and I'm facing 5 years in prison over it. Even worse, the people who are framing me don't really even have to try to hide the fact, and they won't get into any trouble with the law if their plan fails or if it is exposed publicly, which is about to be in this video. That's because the people doing the framing are none other than the local police and district attorney's office themselves. And when I say they are framing me, I don't just mean that they are presenting evidence and arguments in the most strategic way in order to try to make a case against someone who they actually believe committed a crime. Instead, I mean that both the alleged victim who made the allegations and the authorities he made them to knew full well from the start that the allegations were false, because all of the evidence directly contradicts those allegations. But they went ahead and pursued charges despite this. In fact, despite clear exonerating evidence and the supposed assumption of innocence until being proven guilty, I was arrested, jailed for several days, indicted and charged, and kept on house arrest for several months. As of this recording, I'm out on bail, but the DA's office is still pursuing the false felony charges. Let me stress again that this is not just local law enforcement making a good faith case against me because they genuinely believe I violated the law. It's them dishonestly, unethically, and arguably unlawfully framing me for a crime which they have known full well that I didn't commit from the very beginning. And they are using your tax dollars to do it. And I'm about to prove it. Let me start by walking you through the so-called investigation that took place in the lead up to my arrest and charge. It began with a phone call from Waldo County Sheriff's Deputy Lewis Dyer to my alleged victim, Dan Rock.
Hey Daniel, this is Lou Dyer with the Sheriff.
Hold on a second. Let me add just a little bit of very important context first. At the time of this call between Deputy Dyer and Dan Rock, I was already facing two separate criminal charges. One was a charge of disorderly conduct for swearing, and Dan Rock was a witness in that case, but I was not trying to get that case dropped because I knew it wouldn't go to trial. The other was a charge of criminal mischief for defending myself against a violent attacker, and I was trying to get that case dropped, but Dan Rock was not involved in that case in any way. This distinction is very important to the felony tampering with a witness charge Deputy Dyer and Dan Rock are about to discuss on the phone here. So, now with that context in place, back to the call.
Hey Daniel, this is Lou Dyer with the Sheriff's Office.
Hi there.
Hey,
sorry, I got 1,000 things going on.
Gotcha. Sorry, I'm out in Palermo right now leaving a burglary, so I was just going to call and touch base with you real quick. So I understood you got some messages from Sean Floyd.
Yes.
Basically threatening you in reference to ongoing case.
Oh yes. Well, the case is okay. So last year, you might remember. I know it was Belfast that took care of it, but I had some customers at Fawn's Kitchen. They were outside curbside seating, and he was harassing them. Physically, verbally, just saying vulgar stuff. And they called the police. It was Megan. I keep forgetting her last name from the Belfast PD.
Yep.
And Harriman, that's it.
Harriman, yep.
Right. And they filled out the police report. I filled out the report as a witness. Can you turn that down, please? And so sorry, I'm dealing with staff turning the music up too loud.
Yep, that's okay.
I believe he was prosecuted and charged with disorderly conduct. And he recently, it was Saturday that he called me at about 9:30 p.m. and we spoke for a while. It had been a while, so I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah. But
he was kind of threatening me here and there. And he was trying to convince me to go to the DA taping, I believe.
Yeah.
And convince them that I was lying, and to try to have the charges dropped, and then he said, or else.
Yeah.
Then he said he's going to do, write vulgar language and protest and try to, basically drive my customers away. And this morning when I got in, there was writing. It was writing on right in front of my door on the sidewalk. It said FDA Irvin, and Tim from Restorative Justice just next door. He did the same thing there. Yeah. He took pictures and then called Belfast PD, made a report. I don't know if it was him or his director. I'm not sure, but I had spoke to people about what's going on with the phone calls. He left me a couple voicemails because I wasn't answering the phone after I found out it was him, and he threatened me. But he called me plenty of times, 5 or 6 times, and he left a voicemail about 4 minutes long. Pretty much saying if I don't drop the charges, then if I don't have the charges dropped, then he's going to come by and see me, and then come by and protest right in front of my door and write vulgar language. But I spoke to a state trooper regarding this.
Yeah.
And he informed me that it's a good chance that it could be it could be witness tampering.
Yeah. Do you have those voicemails you could send me?
I actually, Megan or Officer Harriman has it.
Okay.
There's one. The other one's not really anything, but he just says, "Oh, I forgot to let you know that my YouTube channel is the Swanvillan," and that was pretty much it. So it's not saying anything really. She has it.
She has it. Okay.
But if you wanted maybe another copy of it, I'm here at the restaurant.
Okay. Are you able? So usually, do you have an iPhone?
I don't. No.
No. Is it a Samsung or something?
It is, and I'm a caveman when it comes to this stuff.
Gotcha. I was gonna say usually if you go into your voicemail and then you just hit the button, you can usually just forward it to someone. But I can try to stop it because I'll have to have you fill out a statement form. So I'll try to make it down here in a little bit, and I'll work on getting that from Megan, and then I'll drop off a statement form and basically just have you write down what he was saying.
If I can do the statement maybe tonight when I get home, because I'm just starting to get busy, and I got to bring the kids to baseball later. Yep,
that works. I'll have you do that, and then we'll work on. I'll work with the DA as far as a witness tampering case. So,
okay, because I know this guy's been a thorn in everybody's side for a while.
It's all good.
I know that. Right. But yeah, I appreciate your help, and I told Megan that I didn't really want to follow through with anything because I'm kind of afraid because he's such a loose cannon. I'm afraid for my family, my business. Because if you look at his YouTube channel, there's a gun rack with rifles right behind him.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's one that should have firearms.
I'd be surprised if they're real, because I don't think that he's supposed to possess weapons either. They're probably fake.
Okay.
Would be my guess. We've been there many times, so.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, that's just a guess, but. Yep, but I'll swing down here in a little bit. I will drop off a statement form, and fill it out when you got time. And we'll have someone. If you want to drop it off, I think I'm off tomorrow. So if you want to if you can drop it off at the sheriff's office. If not, just hold on to it, and I'll grab it when I'm back on shift in a couple days.
Okay. Sounds
like I will let one of our detectives know to see if they can follow up with it on my days off.
Okay. I appreciate the phone call.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Just a few hours after that call, after I had protested in front of Dan Rock's restaurant for a short time and was at the Belfast Library uploading the footage from that protest, Deputy Dyer, Officer Harriman, and 2 other officers came and arrested me for tampering with a witness.
Fuck you, dude. Fucking...
So next, let's look at the police arrest report. Deputy Dyer begins by basically restating a version of what you just heard Dan Rock tell him over the phone. Then he writes, starting at the bottom of the page there, I called Officer Harriman from Belfast PD. She was able to send me over the voicemail text that Sean had sent to Dan. These texts will be added to the pictures to be viewed. Just to be clear, I did not send Dan Rock a text. I left him a voicemail message which they used AI to turn into a garbled text version or something. In any event, the report continues. I will highlight a section of the message from Sean. In part of the message, written as it shows in the text, Sean states, and please pay attention to where his so-called highlighting begins. Quote, I'm in a position to get some accountability over here for the over that lie. So I can do that by offering the following ultimatum. You can use the political power you do have to get this criminal mischief charge against me dropped and help correct the gross injustice in the process. So it's a win-win, or I'm going to go protest in front of your store like I described on the phone last night. And then he concludes, after speaking with Dan and reading the voicemail that Sean left, it was a clear violation of the charge of tampering with a victim, informant, juror, or victim. Sean was also on bail conditions no to commit any new criminal acts. Due to the new criminal conduct, it also is a violation of his bail conditions. So Deputy Dyer already decided right from the get-go that I was guilty, basically. And then he says, I received a call from Officer Harriman that Sean was in downtown, and that's downtown Belfast, Maine, where they came and arrested me. And wow, that was hard to read. A lot of typos in there. Sorry. Regardless, I don't think the evidence so far indicates a clear violation in the way that the deputy claims. And I don't think it's just me saying that defensively. It's genuinely not clear to me how any of that is supposed to implicate me in tampering with Dan Rock as a witness, despite the deputy's, quote, highlighting the presumably incriminating part of the message. And more on that so-called highlighting later. For now, please just note that I was talking about a criminal mischief case in that excerpt. I never once even mentioned the disorderly conduct case Dan Rock was a witness in. And yet the deputy asserts that this is clear evidence that I tampered with him in that case? It just doesn't add up. So now, let's take a step back and briefly examine the case which Dan Rock was a witness in, a disorderly conduct case against me. This is where he alleged that I had been loud and disruptive and had physically and verbally harassed his customers. Here is what actually happened.
Sorry to tell you this, folks, but Belfast has victim-blaming, criminal cunt police. And if the Swanvillan on YouTube gets no justice, then Belfast is not going to get any peace.
We would like some peace.
Well, you're in Belfast. Here's what you can do to get some peace.
You know what I'm about to do to get some peace? Get the hell out of here. Leave me alone. Leave us alone. We don't want to talk to you.
Belfast has victim-blaming, criminal cunt police. But if the Swanvillan gets no justice, Belfast gets no fucking peace. You know, threatening people is illegal.
I'm not threatening you. Get the hell out of here. Leave us alone.
No.
All right.
Oh, are you going to call the cops on me?
Then, while I waited for the police to arrive, Dan Rock himself came out and briefly spoke to me.
Hi. I don't know that you can. Thank you, though. Well, you know what you could do? You could call City Hall, 338-3370.
Why would I do that?
Well, and tell them that, see, here's the problem. Belfast has victim-blaming criminal cunt police, and if the Swanvillan gets no justice, Belfast isn't going to get any peace.
I understand what you're saying. You see that you're being a little disruptive.
Yeah, I have to be disruptive, otherwise nobody cares. Okay, thanks, you too.
Shortly afterwards, Belfast PD officer Megan Harriman came and summoned me for disorderly conduct.
Somebody finds it offensive and they've asked you to leave.
If so, say that to the world, please.
Okay.
If somebody finds it offensive and they ask me to leave, that's illegal if I don't leave?
criminal summons here.
If I don't leave public property because somebody is
your
offended
court
by
date
me?
is October
That's what you're
9th
saying.
at
An officer of the-
8:30 in the morning.
I just want to understand this.
Do you have any questions about this?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of questions do you have?
You're saying that if I say offensive words that people find offensive, and they ask me to leave public property and stop saying those words or whatever, and I don't, that's a crime. That's what you're citing me
You're
for.
engaging with them, and even though you're in public property, you're engaging with them. And
Engaging
you're
with? Oh, where
and
does it
you're
say
in
that
their
in the
space.
statute?
I'm telling you, we're not going to do this. We're
not going to argue
Here's
about
your
the law
criminal
because
summons.
you're wrong and I'm
glad
right,
that you
and
think
I'm going to
that.
beat this in court.
Are you going to sign
and then
this,
I'm
or
going to sue
am
you.
I going to arrest you for not signing the summons? Thank you.
Then, a few days later, she went back to interview Dan Rock at his restaurant.
I asked him, I said, I understand the law. I understand what he's talking about. And I told him that. And I said, can you see that you're being disruptive? And then he was more disruptive. He was very close to, uncomfortably close.
Yep.
And I was just coming out and I saw him very
Yep.
close to him. If that's the law, there's something wrong with it.
Yeah. So when you say that he was very disruptive, in what way? What was he doing?
Raising his voice. Just raising his voice. Don't think that that's okay when he's getting in my customer's space.
Well, he was charged that day with disorderly conduct.
Oh, good.
So I'm just doing follow-up after the fact because obviously on scene I spoke with the two complainants that were eating lunch.
And especially, if you could imagine, you're sitting down with friends and family, whatever, and you've got somebody sticking a camera in your face. The camera, I understand, that's all legal. But when you start to approach someone, because nobody knows what his intent is.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it must be a fine line.
Yeah.
But as a business owner, I just don't like it, because he was looking at the other people too.
Yep.
To kind of maybe harass them a little bit.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I don't know.
So, as you can see, Dan Rock has a bit of a pattern of making false statements to the police against me. Anyway, I was eventually charged with disorderly conduct by the district attorney's office for referring to the Belfast police as cunts, which almost everybody knows, even if they find it really offensive, is nonetheless lawful free speech. I even confirmed this fact with Belfast PD prior to beginning my protests. So by summoning and charging me for that, the local authorities had already actually tried to frame me in this underlying disorderly conduct case as well, and entrap me also. So when I called Dan Rock some months later about protesting in relation to yet another case the cops were pursuing against me at the time, a criminal mischief case stemming from an incident in Swanvillan, a case having nothing at all to do with Rock himself, Rock, the cops, and the DA all began trying to frame me for the much more serious felony crime of tampering with a witness in order to stop my protests. Now, I don't think they are secretly and consciously conspiring to frame me, but more that each involved party has their own separate motive for stopping my protests, and thus their own reason for falsely implicating me in this crime. In other words, they all happen to independently hate my protests for different reasons, and all happen to be the type of people who are willing to lie to put a stop to those protests. Here is the first bit of proof of actual framing, which I'll point out. Remember the section of my phone message highlighted by Deputy Dyer in his police report? Recall how in that highlighted section, I never even once mentioned the disorderly conduct case Rock was a witness in? That seems odd, doesn't it? How is that evidence of me tampering with him as a witness in that case if I never mentioned that case? Well, here is my actual message.
Press 1 for more options. To send a fax, press 4 now. To leave a callback number, press 5.
Hi, this is Sean Floyd again.
this call or my contact with you is not about the disorderly conduct case, which you are a witness in. As far as that goes, or in general, please just tell the truth is all I would ask. Why I'm calling is because although you might believe that you are not a political person, you have political power, like it or not. And that's especially true as a business owner. And you lied to the cops about me. Now, I don't know if it's a big enough lie that I can sue you over it, but maybe for defamation, I'm not sure. But in any event, this call is not about that either. But sue or not, I'm in a position to get some accountability here over that lie. Notice how the deputy left that first part out of his highlighted version. Left out the very important part about how I'm not calling Dan Rock regarding the case he is involved in. Left out the part where I suggest Rock just tell the truth as far as that or any other case goes. So what the deputy referred to in his report as highlighting is actually what is known as material omission. It's a way of lying. Lying by leaving out very important details. And legally, it's the same as lying. And just so nobody can accuse me of leaving out any important details, I have already published a compilation of all of my communications with Dan Rock. In fact, this was published even before I was arrested for allegedly tampering with him as a witness. The video is called A Non-Contingent Ultimatum for the Fawns, and it's available here on my YouTube channel. I'll try to remember to put a link to it in the description below in case anybody is interested. Here in this present video, I'll just include a part of my original call to Dan Rock because it will provide more context for the final proof that I'm being intentionally framed for a crime that the police and the DA know full well that I didn't commit. So I got to give you a little backstory here, and then you'll know who I am more fully. Okay, are you still there?
I'm here, buddy.
Okay. So here's my backstory. I am from Swanville. I have a YouTube channel called The Swanvillan, and I used to protest a lot here. Well, not a lot, but here and there I've protested a lot here. But every time I do, I've run into an awfully lot of issues with the sheriff's department and the Maine State Police, and them just violating my rights, being extremely biased. When the people from the store call them on, it doesn't matter what it is, they come responding immediately, but they fail to provide me with any protection at all, even against violence.
Hey guys, give me 1 minute, please. God, please stop doing that. Guys, thank you. Okay.
Thank you for bearing with me. Anyway, so last August, just a few days prior to the events that occurred at your restaurant, I was protesting in Swanville. I was on the sidewalk holding that same sign that I was protesting. I was the one that was protesting, this summer for a few minutes in front of your restaurant before the police were called, not by you, but anyway, holding the same sign, and this guy, Thomas Benner, comes out. He gets on his trike, and when I say trike, it's a motor trike, a big heavy machine. He approaches me from across the parking lot. He's shouting insults and curses, using offensive language, but insulting me, challenging me, provoking me. And then he threatened to punch, when he gets to me, he threatens to punch my teeth out. He threatened to run me down with his motor trike. And then he backs up, right after saying that, steered it toward me and accelerates in my direction. I don't know if he was exactly trying to hit me, but he sure was trying to scare me into thinking...
And this was in Swanville?
This was in Swanville. And trust me, this is all relevant to you. And thank you for asking that clarifying question. So, I had to jump out of his way, right? As he near missed me. And the stick with my sign on it and camera on it struck the fender of his trike as he passed by. Then he backed up, threatens me several more times, and then he goes home, and it's on my walk home. I have to walk, this is close by, also relevant, and he lives nearby. He sees me walking past. I'd never met this guy before, by the way, in my life, before this stuff. He comes out and threatens me several times as I pass by his house. But I wasn't going to call the cops because they, like I mentioned a while ago, failed to protect me at all against violence in here in Swanville. So I wasn't going to bother. But he called the cops because apparently the fender of his trike got a little scratch on it. So he was all in an uproar about that. And so this guy that accosted me with offensive language in a way that was, provocative, trying to provoke me to fight or whatever, threatened me several times, and then basically tried to run me down. He wasn't charged with anything. Not a thing, not a single crime. But you know what? I got charged. I got charged with criminal mischief because of that scratch on the guy's motor trike. Now, and this is not just my word against theirs. I have my own video of it, but the cops and the district attorney refused to acknowledge the existence of this video. Okay, are you with me kind of so far?
Kind of. I don't know what it has to do with me, though.
Oh, okay, good. Because we're just about to get to that. Because, I started protesting a little bit in Belfast, and initially Belfast PD seemed a little more tolerant, and I explicitly asked about using offensive language in political speech. They said I wouldn't get any trouble from them, because it's legal, it's constitutionally protected, like it or not. But then I actually began protesting there, and they started changing their minds and cracking down on me as well, in ways that are egregious but not particularly relevant here, really. But everybody's bad, pretty much, is what I described happening in Swanville. What is relevant here, though, is just a few days after being verbally accosted, threatened, and attacked by this trike guy in Swanville and being falsely charged with a crime over that, I was also charged with another crime, disorderly conduct, for using offensive words out in front of your restaurant. Okay? So, like double standard here at work. Now, I don't know if you know this, but district attorneys in Maine have the absolute power to charge anyone with any crime for any reason at any time. They're not legally bound to follow the law when bringing charges.
So, what is it you want me to do? I don't understand.
We're getting there. We really are.
No, I don't have a lot of time, honestly.
Understood, but, At this point, Rock began repeatedly interrupting me. The conversation devolved, and then Rock hung up on me without ever allowing me to finish explaining why I had called. That's why I left him a subsequent message and made an explainer video. A few days later, after I had actually protested for less than an hour on the sidewalk in front of the DA-affiliated Restorative Justice Project and Dan Rock's restaurant, I was arrested for tampering with a witness.
Tell me. I couldn't tell you because he's the witness you tampered with. He is the one that called.
I did not tamper with him. Dude, you know what you have to do to tamper? I looked it up. I fucking looked it up, okay? Here's what you have to do to tamper. You have to try to get somebody to change their testimony. It's clear as fucking day. I did not do that. I never said that he would. Nothing. I told him to tell the truth. Unless he was going to lie otherwise, I didn't tell him to change fuck all. And it's all in the video, and it's all in the phone call. But see, here's the thing. He can call, you know what? He can call and get me arrested like this. You know what happens if I call you guys? Nothing. You know what? Nothing. People can threaten me on camera. You know what you guys do? Nothing. People can fucking try to run me down with their vehicles. You know what you guys do? Nothing. You know why? Because you're corrupt fucking cunts who cannot even fucking follow the first law. Not even the first fucking one. Jesus. So who's the arresting officer? Are you?
I am.
And what's your name again?
Deputy Dyer.
Lou Dyer. And what is your probable cause?
Probable cause is I had probable cause to arrest you for tampering with a witness.
Yeah, but what is your probable cause for arresting me? I mean,
That in the arrest report.
I'll read that in the arrest report.
I'm not here to debate it with you, Sean.
I'm not.
When I arrested you.
What's that?
My probable cause is when I arrested you.
That's not the way it works, dude.
There'll be a police report. You know how the process goes.
Yeah. Well, about when will I get that police report?
I took a report from Dan Rock.
Yeah.
Established probable cause for tampering with a witness.
What did he tell you I said?
That you tampered with him. That you were.
I spent 3 or 4 days in jail, and the DA tried to keep me behind bars until my trial, so I'd still be there now if they had succeeded. But I was able to convince the judge to release me on house arrest. Then, after a few months, I got that reduced to just standard bail condition not to have contact with Rock. I should point out that what prompted me to protest on the sidewalk in front of Restorative Justice and Rock's restaurant in the first place was finding out that DA Irving herself, the head DA, had personally refused to charge the guy who had attacked me with his motor trike, Thomas Benner. So my protests were explicitly directed against her and were in reaction to this blatantly unjust decision of hers. As far as the 2 underlying cases go, the disorderly conduct case, for swearing while protesting, was dropped by the DA just a few days before trial because the people who called the cops on me refused to appear and testify against me. Dan Rock, though, was listed as a witness and was expected to testify against me right up until the end. The criminal mischief charge for defending myself against Thomas Benner, the trike guy that attacked me, that went all the way to trial. Then I was found not guilty. So 2 out of the 3 charges have been dispensed with. As far as the remaining felony tampering case goes, it currently appears to be on hold. There is at least 1 hearing that needs to take place before it can proceed to trial, but there are no court dates set for a hearing or jury selection or anything like that at the moment. So that's up in the air for now. But let me introduce you to the head DA. I've been taken to calling her Dollar DA Irving. She is the person who is ultimately responsible for maintaining this false charge against me. She could drop it at any moment if she wanted to.
I'm Natasha Irving. I'm the District Attorney for Prosecutorial District 6. That's Saginaw, Lincoln, Knox, and Waldo counties.
The reason I've been calling her Dollar DA is because officials in Lincoln County recently recommended only giving her a $1 budget for the entire year as a form of protest against her, because they have been so disappointed with her performance as DA. And I can't say I'm too happy with her performance either. She is continuing to press charges in this tampering case despite the fact that the evidence contradicts the allegations against me. The allegations themselves don't even really make sense. Think about this. Dan Rock alleged that I told him to call DA Irving and convince her that he was lying and to try to have the charges dropped or else. But the evidence shows that I never told him any such thing. Moreover, telling someone to correct a previous lie is the same thing as telling them to tell the truth. So this wouldn't constitute witness tampering even if it was true. But it wasn't. The second thing Rock alleged was that I had told him that if he didn't drop the charges or have the charges dropped, then I'm going to, quote, come by and see him. And this is again false. I didn't say that. And this allegation makes no sense because Dan Rock never had any charges to drop. He wasn't the one who called the cops and pressed charges on me. He was just a witness after the fact. He couldn't drop the charges if he wanted to. And finally, Deputy Dyer simply alleges that it is somehow clear from these nonsensical allegations, which are directly contradicted by the evidence, that I violated the tampering statute. He just asserts it without even backing it up at all. The specific statute which the DA is charging me under is Section 454, tampering with a witness, informant, juror, or victim, sequence 1A2. In my case, this boils down to accusing me of inducing or attempting to induce Dan Rock to withhold testimony, information, or evidence. I spoke to DA Irving about this felony tampering charge, among a few other things, by phone back in April.
I will review it.
It should not be brought, it really, and I would just say, well, no, you just look at it. Just look at it and please look at my motion to dismiss.
I will look at what we have in the file. And one more question. Is it on for docket call?
Yes, June 2nd.
So it's just like coming right up? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, whatever that is, about a month, just over a month now, yeah.
Okay, I promise you I will look at it. And I think the trial term is in June. So no matter what would happen, it would have to be me trying the case. And that definitely weighs on, you know how I feel about cases I don't think I can win, for one thing. Whether I think
you won't win this one. You won't win this.
Thing, but I don't want to go to trial and lose.
You will lose this case. If you look at it from that perspective, too, please do. I'm sorry?
It seems like we have a pattern of losing cases against you, so I think that it's wise for me to take a look. And
please do.
So I will call you back. I'm going to talk to your attorney first just to make sure it's okay with him.
Mm-hmm.
He agrees, but I will review it. I'll call you back. I'll get back to you. If I can't get back to you tomorrow, I will get back to you this week. All right? And it's okay. I'm a public official. You are totally allowed to be mad at me, and I'm fine with that, but as long as we can just discuss it, and it's just, I hope that you can just believe, at least, just for your sake, that I will look at this in good faith, okay? And I will get back to you as soon as I can get through it. I think I can probably get back to you tomorrow.
Okay? If you would prefer to take I would prefer you to take your time, thoroughly look at it before getting back to me.
I will do that. So, and let me give you, so the office number here is the 59404. It's either 0424 or 0425, or it's both. So if you need me, you called that number. That's why I left a message here. So you should, if you call Lincoln County, they're just going to send me an email saying somebody called from this number. So just, if you leave me a voicemail, I get it on my email, and I'll get it, okay? But I promise you, I'll look at it, I'll take my time, and I will digest it, and I will think about it from the whole perspective, not just probable cause, but whether...
There is none.
In the interest of justice, I will look at all of those things, and I will call you back.
The motion to dismiss was for lack of probable cause. There is none.
Okay.
But yeah, please look at it. And
but I do. Unfortunately, I have to hang up because if I'm late, they charge me like $10.
I appreciate.
For 10 years of babies going through daycare, I've never been late to pick up. So, but I will talk to you soon. And I'm sorry it took me so long to get back to you.
That's okay. I appreciate the call. And thank you. Bye.
Okay, talk to you. Thanks. Bye.
Spoiler alert: she never got back to me. The July 2nd court date she mentioned was continued, though, and hasn't been rescheduled yet. Also, when I spoke with my attorney on that day, he told me that the DA had proposed meeting to see if we could possibly resolve the case outside of court so we could avoid taking up the court's time and resources or something like that, which I thought was pretty ironic at this point, given that her office has been dragging me to court again and again and again over BS charges for the last 8 years. Ever since she first came into office, in fact.
I've been the district attorney for 2 terms, 8 years, elected first in 2018.
Anyway, my attorney told me that DA Irving had mentioned that she wanted to meet and talk about how there are gray areas in the law and how some people think some things are legal and other people think those things are not legal. I agreed to meet with her just to see what she has to say as far as any kind of concrete proposal, but no meeting was ever arranged. So 3 weeks after the continued court date and the proposed meeting, I sent her a follow-up letter, but she never responded to that. Okay, one last bit of evidence that this case was a frame-up from the very beginning. Evidence that it was never a good faith application of law, but was instead always a knowing and cynical abuse of the law in order to suppress my free speech. Please consider this bit from the call that was shown at the beginning between Deputy Dyer and Dan Rock.
I'll drop off a statement form and basically just have you write down what he was saying.
If I can get a statement maybe tonight when I get home, because I'm just starting to get busy and I got to bring the kids to baseball later.
Yep, that works. I'll have you do that, and then we'll work on. I'll work with the DA as far as a witness tampering case. So,
okay, because I know this guy's been a thorn in everybody's side for a while.
This call took place before any investigation by the deputy whatsoever into the supposed evidence against me. But notice that the deputy didn't offer to investigate Rock's claims or say he'd look into it or anything like that. Instead, he just immediately made plans to work with the DA on concocting a felony charge of tampering with a witness against me, just based on Rock's initial verbal allegations. After all, as Rock put it,
I know this guy's been a thorn in everybody's side for a while.
But then when Dyer did look into the evidence, it showed that Dan Rock's allegations were false. So what's a crooked deputy to do? Well, Dyer just omitted crucial parts of that evidence and then asserted, based on the remaining out-of-context things that I had said to Rock in the message about protesting against a criminal mischief case which Rock had absolutely no connection with, based just on that, the deputy simply asserted in his report that it was somehow clear that I had tampered with Rock as a witness. But the DA's office is still working with Deputy Dyer to continue framing me for this serious crime they all know I didn't commit. And these 3 charges I've discussed in this video, those happened during the last 3 times that I dared to protest in this area. In other words, of the last 3 times I protested, each and every time a charge was thrown at me. I've beaten 2 out of 3 of them, still got 1 to go. And this is nothing new. It's happened at least 10 times that I have been charged over lawful free speech in the last 8 years. 10 times in 8 years. And one final very important point. Not only are these people framing me for a crime that they know full well that I didn't commit, I'm the only person involved in all this who didn't actually commit a crime. Everyone else either has or still is. Dan Rock committed a crime by knowingly giving false information to the police, implicating me falsely in a crime I didn't commit. A serious crime, which is obviously illegal. The police also committed a crime, though. Not just an unlawful rights violation, but an actual crime, punishable by jail time, at least on paper. Title 17, Chapter 93C of the Maine Revised Statutes, Interference with Constitutional and Civil Rights. Section 2931 reads, a person may not, by force or threat of force, intentionally injure, intimidate, or interfere with, or intentionally attempt to injure, intimidate, or interfere with, or intentionally oppress or threaten any other person in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured by that person by the Constitution of Maine, or laws of the state, or by the United States Constitution or laws of the United States. Notice that there is no exemption here for law enforcement, not in this statute nor anywhere else in Maine law. And local law enforcement is inarguably using the threat of state force to intimidate and interfere with my free exercise of rights. At least. So although this law may never actually be enforced in practice, especially against the police who probably violate it more than anybody else, what the cops are doing clearly constitutes a criminal act here in Maine. And $DA Irving is currently actively committing this same crime every single day. She continues to sustain this illegal charge against me. In fact, she is the person most responsible for using the threat of state force to intimidate and interfere with my free exercise of rights. So it's not hyperbole or an exaggeration to say that the cops and $DA Irving are criminals. It is a plain and simple fact. So the statement that I made in Belfast that got me charged with disorderly conduct for swearing or the sign here that Thomas Benner violently assaulted me over might be offensive, but it's also 100% accurate. Sorry. Anyway, I'm not really sure what to do about any of this at this point. Dollar DA Irving is sustaining the charge for political reasons of some sort. There's no valid reason for her not to drop it immediately, so it's got to be political. But she's not doing it to get reelected, because although she is technically running for another 4-year term as DA,
I'm running for a 3rd term.
She's running unopposed. She's the only one on the ballot. So I suspect it has more to do with trying to keep me from resuming my protest activities and being, as Dan Rock put it, a thorn in everyone's side again. So I don't really have any kind of call to action or anything. I mostly produced and published this video because I wanted to make sure that this story and the evidence are made available to the public for whatever that might be worth. I guess I just wish more people cared about the fact that so-called law enforcement engages in this kind of dishonest and dishonorable criminality, and does so essentially out in the open, and not just against me, of course. Look up Lori Allen of Belfast, Maine for another prominent local example. And if they can do this kind of thing to me and to others with impunity, they could almost certainly do it to you or yours too. So, thanks very much for caring enough to watch. If you want to call Dollar DA Irving and ask her to please stop wasting your tax dollars by continuing to try to falsely frame people for felonies over their lawful free speech, that number I'll put on the screen now. If you want to change the system for the better, please like this video. If you have any clue about how to change the system for the better, please leave that below in a comment. Either way, thanks again, keep fighting, and peace.
What I often tell myself or tell my family or tell people in the community is that this is the justice system. It's not the retribution or the vengeance system.